right. Well, first of all, I wanted to say thanks for the invitation. I'm truly honored to be here tonight. And I think this is such a great initiative. And yeah, thank you so much. So I'll start by sharing. My name is Mariana Brito. I am originally from Mexico. I am the chef and co-owner of Malinche Mexican food that operates in the city of Regina, Saskatchewan in Canada. I wanted to start by saying that mental health has been a subject and an issue for me my whole life, but I hadn't really been aware of it until the winter of 2017. So I want to share a little bit about how that came about and how I've been in recovery for now almost 3 years, almost 4 years, which is a long time for me. But well, our industry with its long hours and dedication was always a way for me to escape my mental health issues. And I truly just dived into work like many of us for so many years. My culinary career started in Tijuana, Mexico, where I grew up. Before I attended culinary school, I did some serving. I worked at different restaurants because I always loved it. And I fell in love with this trade and the capability of using food, textures, flavors to transport others or to simply change someone's day. After school, I worked in a holistic kitchen at a cancer clinic in Mexico. And that was a really beautiful job that took me to Canada in 2010 to share the whole foods cooking knowledge and to open the world of opportunity of cooking up north in Canada. That was for me a great opportunity and open also the possibility of me traveling and doing other things while being in Canada. So I did some traveling here and there, always learning from the best chefs I could. I did stages and short work terms in very different Michelin star restaurants. So I understand the pressure, the perfectionism, and the reality of fine dining industry. After years of considering fine dining and also training as a pastry chef, and just different negative experiences I had in restaurants, I came to peace with the fact that I wanted to do different in our industry and I wanted to work for myself. So I made it like my goal to establish a kitchen where things could be different to what I had experienced and where I could also, showcase Mexican food. So with limited funds and big dreams of bringing Mexican food forward in Canada, in 2017, we launched a Kickstarter campaign that was incredibly successful. And then that was followed by the bought of a food truck, and eventually in 2019, the partnership with a brewery in Regina, where it's now where Malinche operates right now. So that's kind of like how it progressed. The biggest hurdle for me has been to confront myself, to limit myself, and to fight literally for sobriety, to be able to be the chef owner I wanted to be. So sometimes it's not enough to want to make changes or to realize that we want to do things differently when it comes to rewiring our brains or to change patterns. I have found that getting help has been like the only way to do it. As chefs, we work so hard for others that when it comes to time to open our own places or on spots with limited funding, it would only make sense to still work 16-hour shifts to make it work. And that was the case for me the first year we opened the food truck. I already had in me endless hours put in other kitchens, but this time it was my baby, so I wanted to be there fully. And I was like also wanting to, do the best food I could, of course. And we're changing the menu mostly daily because this season up north is happens so fast that you almost have new vegetables every day. So I had that pressure, and I just so basically I worked so much that I wouldn't get any rest. And it was parallel to a grief journey that I was trying to avoid, because a week after we launched the Kickstarter, my grandmother had passed away, and she had been my main caregiver my whole childhood. So this season, I like that first season of the truck, I was like, I didn't really have time to do the grieving, so I worked through it, and I thought, it's just gonna go away. So I literally feel like back then I was battling light and darkness, like I thought like never before. So that grief journey opened me deeply, and I couldn't run from it anymore. I tried, and it was like it was always there every day. It was like, so it was this constant reminder that I needed to take the time to do that, but I also wouldn't allow it because I don't know why. I just had to work, I guess. So at the end of the season, I grabbed my stuff and I came back to Mexico. And my way of thinking of coping with all of that was to just go on like a research trip to do different cooking classes and like visit different traditional cooks in Mexico. So I wasn't working, but I was still like on work mode and on research mode. So still wasn't taking the time I needed to do the grieving. And grieving that, like my grandmother, then it sounded like something that I needed to happen, but I just thought, I have other stuff to do. Like, it's okay, she's gone, and I just gotta move forward. So when the pain came, I just drank to cope and just avoided all the feelings. And it was the beginning of December, and it was time to pack to come back to Canada, or go back to Canada. And I had been staying by myself at the house where I grew up with her, just for a couple of days. And, I was like getting ready to go packing. And then I started having these like debilitating back pain that had me like on my back screaming. I couldn't stop crying. I was like, what the heck's going on? Now I think like that was her way of saying like, you got to deal with your feelings. And I was so scared. I remember I called my aunt and like they got me some meds. I still crossed the border, went to Canada. I was catering an event for 100 people, I think 2 days after. And like I couldn't really walk well, but I just managed. I like, took pills, whatever, and showed up for the event. After we did that, literally I went home and like I couldn't really walk then. So I hit this like burnout where like I spent 3 weeks without being able to really move much. Like the pain was so excruciating that I just couldn't function, couldn't walk. So that was the first time in my life that I call it like it was like forced rest. And for me, forced rest meant like, having like this bookshelf that like falls on top of you and like breaks you into pieces. And you're like, okay, now what? Like all this stuff comes. And I thought it was just like one grief that I needed to do. But funny enough, it's all connected to other grieving journeys that weren't done during childhood or during growing up, and different times that we just like keep going and going without really doing the full processes. So where I'm at, yes. So then it's like, okay, well, I'm burnout, I guess, like learn that term. I also felt like really depressed, sad. I couldn't work, and it was the dead of winter. So winter up north is like really cold, and a lot of times there's not really work. There's not a lot of work, and especially for me because I had my own business a lot. It's a small town, so it was hard for me to find work because people knew I was going to leave for the summer for my food truck. So that was also the first winter I was with no job, and I really had no choice other than just like take care of myself. So I remember I have a neighbor up north that started talking to me about Reiki. So she introduced me to Reiki and reflexology, and through reflexology was that I was able to walk again. So this was like alternative and holistic therapies that I started to learn that I had never really heard about or even thought about. I was also seeing a chiropractor and just like trying different things. And that February, my friends were like, oh, let's try to do some, therapeutic drugs or whatnot. And we did that. And then I ended up with this episode of suicidal depression and ended up in the ER. and just like the more I thought, I was like, oh, I'm getting better. I wasn't getting better. It was just I was going further deep. So after that, I started the psychiatrist road. So in Saskatchewan, we have the mental health system, or the medical system is not private, it's just public. So sometimes you have to wait to see a specialist. I was lucky because I was in the ER, I was able to just access the psychiatrist. So I was put on meds right away. And I mean, that I didn't feel like I was feeling better, but I guess I was doing a little better. That winter I got a puppy, and like started to try to just cope. And like, it was weird to not be working. It was weird to not feel like well at all. And but just kept going. I just kept thinking, you gotta keep swimming, because I was already at a place where things were dark, but like I always, during that whole time, I always knew there was a light, and I knew I wanted to leave, and I knew I wanted to keep finding things to feel better. So the next part of this healing journey, like summer came, and I wasn't able to really work full time, which was heartbreaking for me, because then it meant I had to hire people. And I wasn't really used to delegating, or to trusting others, or to not control my kitchen. So it was a big learning curve, but I really didn't have a choice, because I couldn't really go to work and not have like some sort of episode. So that was the beginning of me letting go of the kitchen, starting to standardize, and starting to, really see how, if I wanted the brand and the business to keep being successful, I needed to take care of myself. So I'm really grateful of the team we were able to have that summer, and the team we have now and always, because it's been the only way to keep the brand going, and also me radically learning to take care of myself. So after that summer, the meds weren't really working, and I was like, I'm done. And my now business partner, my ex-husband, he was always so supportive. And we ended up doing some sort of a blend of THC and CBD, so that I could like function. So we find a way that it was good for me to start being able to be okay every day, and kind of manage. I also started like learning about energy work and Reiki. And that summer, I devoured like 64 books on trauma, on healing journey, and just these new concepts that, I was like, I don't have trauma. Like, my grandma just passed. And so learning about childhood trauma, about all these series of things that make a human being be in pain, and how to kind of like start unpacking them. Um, so after that, I started seeing, and it's called an EMDR therapist. So it's called eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, and it's for trauma recovery. That therapy, I'd say, like, it's a before and after for me. It was really, really helpful. It was like, it started giving me hope. I started to be able to feel better. And during that time, where there was times that I was in the kitchen, I remember like putting my cooking shoes and being able to go to work, and I just thought like, I'm happy now. And now I know that that was just the, like, also the adrenaline and the rush, and like perhaps not what true happiness is, but it was that, like, it gave me that hope that I could still feel well. And the cooking has saved my life many times. So I think moving forward, we really need to find a balance, because we love this trade, but how do we do it and also be human beings that take care of themselves first and then cater to others? I think that's still the question. By the end of the second season of the drug, my former business partner kind of like, she had enough. So she left, we parted ways, and we were left with a bunch of debt. I was still kind of feeling better, but not really. And we had to like make a decision of like what we were going to do after, like if we were going to expand the brand or grow, or like, and like I was debilitated still, but we were really lucky and we find partners, and that's how right now Malinche is still operating. And when I work, and I love what I do. But definitely this 2020 for me has been, gave me the opportunity to really like step into more of a director role and be able to really take on this healing journey to what is like the next level, I would say. So after energy work, reflexology, all of that, this year I kind of like decided to go back to what the roots are, my roots, and I came back home. So here I've been for the last on and off. I went back home for 2 months, but I've been here for 6 months, focusing on healing the emotions in the body, and I'm feeling better with the help of music, art, reconnecting to my ancestors, sacred healing plants, the Temazcal, which is a sweat lodge, and also the love of my family and friends. So the message I really wanted to share with everyone is that anybody that's feeling sadness and pain or isolation, well, first of all, you're not alone. You're supported, you're loved, there's help. And remember that the definition of insanity is expecting different results, doing the same things. So we gotta be brave enough to do things differently and think differently for our industry, for ourselves, and for the future generations, so that we can like still have a culinary industry that truly reflects individuals that take care of themselves as much as we take care of others, and of ingredients and of dishware and all the things that are important in a restaurant. But the human capital of our restaurants is the most important thing. So I'm really proud to say that in my company, we have medical benefits for all our employees. We have an open culture of mental health. We talk about it. We have staff meals, and we support each other as much as possible. But I still think there's a taboo everywhere for mental health. So that's why I'm so happy to be able to break my journey open for you guys and say, look, it can get dark, but there's light, and there's love, and there's hope, and there's music, and there's art, and there's heritage, and there's roots, and there's food, and there's life, and we are truly in this together. So that's what I have for today.